Sandro Tonali, our Italian stallion, our rock-solid number 6, has decided to come out alongside his representatives and say that there is no way he is leaving Newcastle United, simply because he has a burning desire to repay the club and the Newcastle United supporters for sticking by him during a very, very difficult period in his career. Of course, being suspended for so long. Newcastle fans and the club never gave up on him, and he is repaying that as we see it now on the pitch. Now, of course, it was a massive signing when we got Tonali, 55 million quid spent on the AC Milan midfielder, but little did we know that he was arriving with a little bit of a cloud over his head. Speculation as to whether AC Milan knew about it. Did Newcastle know about it? Did Tonali know about it himself? Nobody knows, and nobody's come out and directly said what the situation was with that. But listen, that is a long time gone now. It's water under the bridge. And of course, Tonali came back at the beginning of the season, or just after the start, of course, but didn't get straight back in the side. And a lot of people were questioning that as to why. Was it because he was unhappy? Did he want to leave the club? Absolutely nothing like that at all. And it turns out, we've got Eddie Howe's explanation on that a bit later on in the video as well. But the 24-year-old Italian has come in and is now performing as the number 6. And like I say, his representatives have seen all of this rubbish about him wanting to return back to Italy and wanting to play for AC Milan again. But it's been absolutely turned over on its head by his representatives and the player himself. There is no fear of Tonali leaving Newcastle at all. He has got a burning desire, as I say, to repay the club and its fans for the way he was supported following the news of his gambling addiction and subsequent suspension. It was reported in Italy, funny enough, that he wanted to return to Serie A, AC Milan. Fans were dreaming of him returning, etc. That's never been on the cards for Tonali. His agent said there was claims that Tonali was unhappy with his minutes, which was not a major surprise. Before switching position, he was in and out of the team, but talk of a move away was pure fantasy. Newcastle United were not worried at all. Apparently, the club themselves were not worried about Tonali because Tonali was always in discussion with Eddie Howe about what was going to be asked of him once he returned back from the suspension. And he also said that during his suspension, when he was meeting Newcastle United fans, etc., he was getting nothing but support. Nobody he met would come out and have a go at him. He said every single person that he met was so supportive, understood, and wished him well. And that is typical of Newcastle United fans. It's typical of the North East anyway, isn't it? We will support people. Now, Tonali himself, when he came back this season, yes, he was rusty. Of course he was. He's missed nearly a year of football. But the question was going to be asked was, could he play with Bruno? Could he play with Joe Linton? Could he settle into that midfield? Because Bruno had very much played that number 6 position. But we've seen now Bruno move further forward, and he's just excelled his game to the next level as well. His agent said he's repaying the club and supporters for the faith in him, and it will be mission completed if he can ensure Newcastle United end their trophy drought this season. So Tonali is very much wanting to win a trophy, as is the rest of them. Isak has come out recently and said that Newcastle United is a wonderful place to play. He loves the fans, etc. He's been linked with a move away, of course, in the media as well. But it seems that these players now have had enough of all this bull rot about them moving away from Newcastle United and have decided to stick up for the club that they play for. And Isak has said about the fans, Tonali said about the fans. It's just fantastic, isn't it, that the players are now putting out these fires that the media are trying to start and unrest the players already at Newcastle United. So I think it's absolutely brilliant that that Tonali himself and his representatives have come out and said that. Now, what I did say earlier on was that I had more news on why it took Tonali so long to get back into the side. Now, Eddie Howe has admitted that he was initially cautious about throwing Tonali into the starting 11 when he returned. And that's why he was a little bit in and out of the team, because he was trying to make sure that he was physically ready for the demands of the Premier League. Now, we've seen Eddie Howe do this with various players. Of course, he did it with Bruno. He's done it with Lewis Hall. He spent a long time working with Lewis Hall. That has come to fruition as well. Livramento, if you like, as well as an understudy last season to Kieran Trippier. He's come on leaps and bounds again. Both Hall and Livramento into the England squad. That couldn't have gone any better. But what we didn't understand was why Tonali was going away with Italy and playing full minutes with Italy and then coming back to Newcastle and being on the bench. Certainly didn't understand how Sean Longstaff was getting ahead of him. However, obviously things have dramatically changed now since Tonali has been utilised as a number 6. It wasn't the role that was intended, though. That's the thing that is interesting to read. Eddie Howe's admitted that he didn't see Tonali as a number 6. He saw Bruno as that player with Tonali slightly forward. Now it's changed, of course, to Tonali sitting in the 6 and Bruno playing further forward, which has worked wonders for Newcastle United. But again, Eddie Howe just needed to make sure that he was physically ready. He said, after a run of starts for Newcastle as the 6th, Tonali is now indispensable in Eddie Howe's plans. Performances have improved dramatically since Howe unleashed Tonali in the position, something he was actually hesitant to do earlier on in the campaign. It would basically, according to the report, Newcastle United have become big on performance data this term, a significant factor behind all of their decision making. We know Eddie Howe is big on stats. We've seen that when he's been interviewed, he's got stats boards everywhere, and he loves that kind of thing. He loves getting stuck into the stats and reading a lot from the data. Howe has been biding his time before using Tonali as a 6 because he was making sure that the Italian was physically ready to play that role in the Premier League, which is not an easy task. Now, obviously, playing the number 6 role is a different role to what Tonali was probably used to further forward in the pitch for AC Milan. It was thought initially that Bruno and Tonali, of course, would sort of interchange during games, and sometimes that does happen, but Tonali is very much now the figure of the number 6. Tonali spent a long period on the sidelines, and Howe was only prepared to give the midfielder a go in the role once he was hitting the right numbers. So it's all about stats for Eddie Howe. Once he sees the right numbers being hit, that gives Eddie Howe the indication that the player is ready, and he will put him in. So, you know, for all of us asking how Sean Longstaff got it in place of him, it was very much because he was preparing Tonali for the number 6 role. He'd had conversations with Tonali, and Tonali wanted to play that role and wanted to learn that role in more detail. And when the stats and the figures said he was ready to do so, Eddie's put him in, and well, we've never looked back, have we? It's been absolutely fantastic. So that kind of answers the question in a way as to why. Look, you may still disagree with that and say, well, you know, he should have been in the team a lot sooner and maybe we wouldn't have had that rocky spell at the start of the season. That may well have been the case, but Eddie likes to be thorough and he likes to make sure that he's not just chucking a player under the bus, because that may well have happened to Tonali. He could have come back straight from the suspension, thrown him straight in the number 6 role, and it could have gone wrong. But Eddie, again, has just took his time, made sure the player himself was ready to do that role, and is, well, never looked back now. So, look, whatever you think, I'll be interested to know in the comments as usual. But that is what Eddie has said as to why it took Tonali a little longer to get back in the side once he got back from suspension. Now, a little bit of news about the Lloyd Kelly situation. Newcastle United have turned down the bid from Fenerbahce, which was believed to be around £8 to £10 million for the centre-back. Now, interestingly enough, Newcastle United, it says in various media reports this morning, are a little bit pissed off with the Fenerbahce chairman, who went about, of course, talking about the transfer yesterday in a lot of detail without actually Newcastle United accepting the offer. The deal, however, it's said to not be dead yet for the 26-year-old. The Fenerbahce vice president yesterday said, we were in talks with Lloyd Kelly transfer. He's a player we are interested in, and if we can reach an agreement, we will transfer this player. But Newcastle United, not very happy with that comment and did refuse the bid. But it is thought that should another bid come in from Fenerbahce of where they probably value Lloyd Kelly will come in, then that may happen. But at the moment, you know, Newcastle United turned down the original bid. might find that a bit strange because 8 to 10 million for a guy we got for free plus the wages off might look like a good deal for Newcastle. But to be fair, they're not going to be pushed around. They're not going to sell players for what they think they will sell players, for what they think they're worth. And Lloyd Kelly, that Newcastle United believe is worth more than £8 million if that was indeed what Fenerbahce offered. So it looks like that deal is still, well, it's slowed down. It hasn't stopped. It's slowed down. Fenerbahce now, the ball is back in their court to try and work something out. So we'll see what happens with that. But there you go. Leave us a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the Lloyd Kelly situation. And of course, Tonali. Tonali coming out and saying he's fighting for the club. He's fighting for the fans. Burning desire to win something at Newcastle United. And of course, what do you make of Eddie Howe's comments regarding why it took Tonali a little bit longer to get back in the side? Do you understand now, or do you think Eddie Howe, should have just used the man's experience and put him in straight away? I'm interested to know what you guys think. But thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video today, please do give it a thumbs up. And of course, if you're new to the channel, do subscribe. It is free to do so. But make sure you hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload or a live show in the future. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you very soon. Take care.